Hi, and welcome to the Mechanics of Ascension, Part 6. In the universal scheme of things, we are far more powerful than we have been led to believe. They don't teach us that here. We are put down here and made to feel helpless and powerless. We all, and not just humans, have connections all over the universe through our soul history and shared experiences that form relationships we are not really aware of. We are all powerful beacons of energy, of information, of emotion, and all that information goes out into the universe in a particular way and then returns to us, because we are a toroidal field of energy where information flows in and it flows out. All we have to do is be authentically who we are with integrity. Who we authentically are is conveyed through the universal wave fields when we are in integrity. If we are not in integrity, it goes out as noise and returns as noise. Our soul bodies are a field of plasma energy, exchanging particles of information with the universal light and sound waves. When we are being authentic, we are in integrity with ourselves. This information is exchanged seamlessly through the universal wave fields, because we have a unique soul resonance. In a sense, it's like a cell phone exchange system, where our unique soul resonance is our identifying signal, our cell phone number, in other words. And when we are being authentic and in integrity, this unique soul resonance identifies us and connects us to and through the universal information exchange network. I have further stated before that when we ascend, our conscious awareness of who we are, the observer, moves its station of conscious awareness into the fifth dimension. At the moment, our station of consciousness is stationed in the fourth dimension. Conscious awareness, the observer, is always stationed one dimension above the level of its awareness in whatever reality field it is in, and is thus observing from above, from a higher dimension. As our consciousness evolves through the dimensions 4, 5, and 6, so our conscious awareness, the observer, moves through dimensions 6, 7, and 8, raising the frequency of their soul bodies each time we have evolved fully in each dimension. To understand this better, perhaps I should explain the role of the conscious observer. The conscious observer represents the energy potential of the created energy form, and its primary purpose is magnetic, to draw towards itself that which it observes. In the soul evolutionary system, our energy potential is realized through the experiences we have in the hologram, and how that transforms us through our innate intelligence and emotions. To put this in allegorical form, the conscious soul being is watching a movie of themselves. Imagine sitting in a dark movie theater or movie house, and you are the scriptwriter, the producer, the director, the cameraman, the sound engineer, the stage manager, and the stage set director. And we, the conscious observer, are making a movie of our life. And the purpose of the movie is to transform ourselves through the movie in a unified way with all conscious soul beings. This we do through edits and cuts and reruns of the movie until it is perfected. Once the conscious observer has achieved the completion of this life's movie, they go one seat closer to the screen, and in the end, when they merge with the screen, they are the movie they are watching. When the observer and the observed are merged, bringing along with them all those different experiences, In the allegory, the conscious observer is all those things I mentioned, assisted in the process of perfecting their life's movie. This is not a great allegory, but I hope you get the gist of it. In my allegory I gave about the movie we are making, it may appear that we are only watching ourselves in the movie. But the truth is we are feeling and thinking and making and producing our own life's movie. We are also the actors in the movie, and thinking and feeling our thoughts and feelings and relaying that to our conscious observer. And each stage of ascension brings us closer to learning and understanding ourselves as God. That may be hard for us to swallow and understand, but that is the nature of the universe. Everything is one thing, expressing itself in many individuated ways through our choices. In this process, the aim, once we have ascended, is to perfect ourselves in the fourth dimension, the semi-etheric realm of the second harmonic bandwidths, dimensions 4, 5, and 6, and to move our conscious observer to the sixth dimension, and so on until our conscious awareness, the observer, is stationed in the seventh dimension that brings about what is called soul integration. I cover all aspects of this in the Soul Evolution course, and I hope you've watched that. This will happen quite quickly as our bodies, emotions, and thoughts are reorientated to the higher dimensions. But it can be tricky because it will be quite different from what we have experienced here. So just take time and just grow through the experiences like a tree. Time doesn't work there the way it works here. It is quite different. To sum up, we, the conscious observer, will be in full control and take responsibility for our choices there. And what glorious options there will be to explore without the intervention of the control mechanisms of the fallen ones here. But there will be challenges that we are well equipped to deal with them if we learn the law of one. The fallen ones are all over the universe, and we are not done with them yet, but hopefully we will have learned not to compromise our integrity to them. The healing system that exists in the void will enable and ensure that our soul bodies are adequately prepared and enabled to cross over into the second harmonic bandwidth as we pass through it. The void is devoid of any waves of energy that create space and time don't exist there. In the universe, the void is a mysterious place, where there is nothing and where everything exists simultaneously. To me, this is the greatest paradox I've come across in learning how the universe works, and I once remarked to my higher self, Aisbir, I guess it's God's hospital and repair shop where conscious soul beings stay over and get a makeover. And he just looked at me and nodded. I would like to expand a bit more on this and explain what an ascended body means. The void is a place where our soul bodies are quarantined and repaired and prepared for going into a higher state of consciousness. Repairs will be done to our soul codes that correspond to our DNA in our physical bodies. Any traumas or traumatic experiences will be cleansed and repaired in the void. What happens in our soul bodies directly affects our physiology. For instance, if you are defining yourself by what you are not, that is, the physical body, you are releasing corresponding soul codes into your soul body. We accumulate these soul codes in our soul bodies, and those ones that don't belong to who you authentically are have to be removed. That is why the fallen ones give us a false identity and keep us defining ourselves by gender, race, nationality, language, culture, appearance, state of health, and economic status. And in this identity trap that has been set up, we ill-define ourselves, and who we are at a soul level is equally ill-defined. We are constantly traumatized by the media, the law, and lies and deception to keep us in a constant state of uncertainty. So in the void, all those soul codes are removed or repaired so that our physical bodies and DNA are able to withstand the higher frequencies of the second harmonic bandwidth. If we ascended into the second harmonic bandwidth with our current soul and physical bodies, they would be fried, like a microwave oven. So we have to have this adjustment so that our physical bodies will correspond to our soul bodies and soul codes. At a personal level, we will still retain our substantial inner identity, but will emerge with our memories, soul body, and physical body restored. I should explain that humans are largely a hybridized species. When we were last seeded here, we had 12-strand DNA potential, but when the fallen ones took control of this planet, they systematically removed one of our DNA strands and reduced our DNA to double helix DNA status. We are meant to have 3 strands of DNA. We will deal with in another course with the implants and miasms we were given to dumb us down. This act of removing one strand of DNA reduced our DNA potential and entered us into a satanic fall system. When we ascend, we will have 3 strands of DNA present in our ascended bodies, but with 6 strands potentially active in the soul body. Our soul body is fashioned after the universal creation and design template and remains intact with 3 strands activated. In our soul journey through the second harmonic bandwidth, we can activate 3 additional strands in our bodies before we ascend to the third harmonic bandwidth. Once we have this knowledge, we can be more responsible and more careful about our actions and reactions, because anything less than that will have immediate consequences in our soul bodies in the second harmonic bandwidth. So it may be a good idea to get in a little practice beforehand. Some of the features of having an ascended body in the second harmonic bandwidth are that our bodies will be semi-etheric, which means our body mass will be less dense, and the restoration of our DNA to 3 strands of DNA and our endocrine or hormonal system will be different. No more feelings of hunger, no more PMS, no more bouncing emotions, no more need to eat other beings or sleep, no more cravings or dependencies other than those we choose. Our sexual urges will be different and less inclined to sexual penetration, but rather more towards a shared responsibility in relationships, and sex will become more of a sacred ritual. No more need for money or things to support us. No more government or authoritarian systems. We will have to learn fast how to reorganize our communities into coherent and effective groups. We will have more energy, stamina, and be less inclined to waste our energy on matters that don't matter. But there will be some who are more argumentative than others, but there will be a better informed debate, and our opinions will be less divisive. We will be entertained by musicians, poets, dancers, and writers and their stories, but will have a better understanding of the energy they are conveying in their art form. We will find more advanced forms of transport, of healing, of communication, of energy generation, and have a better understanding of how the universe works. but we will still have a long road to travel to take our place in the universe. There will be no more secrets, leading to an open and better informed public. It will be taxing at first to get used to everything being lighter and brighter and more defined, and we will have to get used to all the information coming through our revived pineal glands, and we will have to learn how to multitask, but it will require little physical effort. We will have to be more careful about physically invading the space of other beings around us, but we will soon get used to that. It'll be a totally different way of being. It is important to keep remembering that our soul body creates our physical bodies. So will you look like you look now? It really depends how authentically your soul body is representing its integrative self in the physical body. So there will be small changes, but for some, these will be big changes. For instance, the blind will see, the deaf will hear, the deformed will be reconstructed, the maimed will be enabled. All our physical and sensory abilities will be restored and transformed after being in God's hospital and repair shop. There are 2 points that I would like to expand on here. The first is the imperfections in our current physical bodies, and the second is how our sensory abilities will be greatly sensitized. Our current physiology is the hybridization that was GMO transformed. Many things we experience here are completely unnatural and are anathema to universal order. We were hybridized to be a cross species with second-dimensional beings and one strand of our DNA removed. In the universe, if we understand these technologies, we can fix it ourselves. But this knowledge has been hidden from us. In the second harmonic bandwidth, our senses will be refreshed and restored and harmonized together so they act as one. Our sense of sight and seeing will be sharper, and we will not only see with our eyes, but we will also see with our third eye, which means we will see both the physical and the energetic and have an understanding of both. Our sense of hearing will be lessened because we will be able to feel and interpret vibrations better, and we will learn how to telepath. So hearing will be integrated into our multifunctional senses. Our sense of taste will be totally transformed. We won't feel the need to eat, but we may request from others what they taste like, and if they agree, we can taste them. Like French kissing, we share tastes with each other. Our sense of touch will not be so much from our physical experience of each other, but more from a vibratory one. Each physical being has a unique vibration and frequency, and we will have the ability to feel the frequency of the thing being touched. Our sense of smell will become quite acute, and we will have new abilities like being able to smell danger, or adversaries, or even pathways. The most important sense that will be restored is our sixth sense. Our sixth sense is acquired through the activation of our pineal gland, where our sense of the unseen and wholeness and oneness with the wave fields are restored. We will have a sense of seeing the unseen. Our sixth sense will make all of our senses work together at the same time, making us synesthetic. We will have a revaluation and restoration of our values. In our current reality, our values are largely determined by our attachment to money and the things money can buy. Our morality has been totally corrupted here by the monetary control systems, and we are in survival mode. This will no longer exist in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension. Our values will be our value of who we are, our integrity trust, faith, love, and authenticity. Differentiation on the basis of race, gender, culture, religion, language, and preferences will disappear. Our values here have been so undermined by a need for survival that our values have been formed by temporal and carnal belief systems that are highly compromised, dualistic, and dogmatic, and more akin to the law of the jungle than the law of one. Our choices are so diminished by the evil economic and monetary system here that we have to budget our money so that we can afford to survive, some better than others. But what we don't recognize is that money is only created on the value we represent and our ability to repay the debt that is created by our governments and central banks, so that they steal our value and can control humanity. We are the value that money represents, not what it can buy. Well, this whole evil system won't exist in the second harmonic bandwidth. We won't have to wake up in the morning to go to work, because there will be no need to sleep or work, not in the way it is done here. We won't have a need to eat, because we will draw energy from the energies around us. There will be no bills to pay or need for systems for education, health, finance, communication, transportation. But there will be fair value trade, but without the need for money. Instead, we'll be free to pursue whatever takes our fancy and will unleash an enormous amount of pent-up creativity. Instead, our purpose will be to reorganize ourselves into coherent families and communities as sovereign soul beings and begin to exercise our minds, emotions, and rights to self-determination as communities, and use the knowledge we have gained in the void in order to make life sustainable for all. The other thing we will learn is not to differentiate on the basis of race, gender, culture, religion, language, societal status, age, nationalities, appearances, and preferences. And we will neither judge or be judged in that way by others, and there will be no need to. These judgments are based on our lack of real identity, and so we identify ourselves in these obstructive and obtuse ways in this 3D reality. Our true identity, stripped of all these pretenses, is that we are eternal soul beings of immeasurable value in the universe, because each has its part to play in creating the eternal tapestry of the universe for the benefit of all, through the nature of our soul being, our thoughts and emotions, and how we express those in our words and actions. Once we understand our true identity in the second harmonic bandwidth, we will be able to celebrate the diversity of forms, gender, culture, and appearances. There will be no need for language, religion, status, and there will be respect for others' preferences. Once we discover our true identity and value, all differences can be appreciated, and we define our own values and value to each other. No need to express our value in money or things, but the quality of our character. The meaning of others will take on new meaning because we will see others as valuable soul companions who will appreciate more than we do now. Many don't understand their relationships with the elemental, mineral, insects, vegetable, avian, fish, and animal souls here, and how interdependent we all are in the landscape of our reality and shared experiences. They all represent soul energy, magnetic and electrical soul beings, and they are all connected to us. We are powerful beings because we represent the expression of all that is in the universe, the multiverses and beyond. We just have to learn how it works. There are many avian, fish, animal, and other species here that are very advanced soul beings. Some are more advanced than humans, and many less advanced, but no less significant. They are not just birds, whales, dolphins, dogs, and cats. They are energetic soul beings, and many here are here who agree to incarnate here in whatever form to assist us in our soul evolution, because it advances their own soul or evolution also. So when we ascend, we will meet up with many of the soul beings we experience here, like dogs and cats, and even some we may have eaten, like fish, animals, and birds. The things and the other soul beings around us will cease to be things, but rather fellow soul companions on their own shared evolutionary journey, and we will no longer just be objects that we observe, but we will develop relationships with them and recognize that they are given to us by the universe through grace, so that we can support each other in our mutual soul evolutionary journeys. So we will be able to commune with them, and their significance will be more apparent. Only soul beings that have a sufficient resonant soul probability will ascend, so all things around us will be co-resonant with us. What this means is that we will be in tune with each other and can act and be more in harmony together. That is going to be the most difficult thing to adjust to in an ascended state. All other soul beings will be responsive to our thoughts, emotions, words, and actions, including the microbial forms, minerals, elementals, insects, vegetables, avian, fish, animal, and other humans. There will be a shared consciousness where each is responsive to the other. I know that this sounds weird, but that is the way it works in the universe. So what this will demand from us is something new that we aren't used to, but something we could cultivate and start practicing, and taking responsibility for our thoughts, emotions, words, and actions. Of course, the biggest thing we will experience as ascended beings is the return of our soul identities that have been stripped from us here. We have forgotten who and what we are, where we come from, our soul history, and what our purpose for being is. Very few people identify themselves as soul beings, having a holographic experience, but instead view themselves as physical beings who may or may not have a soul. We have moved so far away from our roots, and the good news is that we will reunite with our soul selves, and all the best within us will be apparent without the wrenching of the system that does not really allow the free expression of our souls, let alone the commanding of that soul consciousness. When I first experienced this, it was a shock to me as I emerged from the void, with my memory intact and the feelings of empowerment. You mean I can really self-determine my own experiences without interference? I wondered. When I was there, I made a choice to return to Earth and assist in her ascension, to teach others when I was given this option. And I can't fully tune into the frequencies of the second harmonic bandwidth because I have been incapacitated by coming back. But I do remember the principles that got me there in the first place. Having the return of one's soul identity requires the return of our soul and genetic memories. This can be very confusing at first, because we learn about the soul and genetic entanglements through our history. Our parents may have been our children in a previous lifetime, or our wives and husbands may have been our husbands and wives in another life experience. You see, souls experience themselves in soul societies, soul groups, soul mates, and twin flames and twin souls, and each soul supports their soul society, group, mates, and twins in their own soul evolutionary process. But it happens over time and sometimes over many lifetimes. Sometimes souls in other dimensions with a vague soul connection here will incarnate here to reunite and retrieve bits of their soul consciousness, because the aim of all soul beings should be to return to Source with all their memories intact. Memories are information about our experiences, and perfecting those experiences through each incarnation is what we are supposed to do. So when we have our soul identities restored, it will have a major effect on us. We will begin to remember, and we will have our soul incarnational and genetic memories restored over many lifetimes. We will remember our past events in many lifetimes and how we thought, felt, and did with that. We will recognize our soulmates, soul groups, and soul societies, and realize that we are entangled with many other beings. But the biggest realization will be that all soul beings are interconnected in this way, not just humanoids, but the elemental, mineral, vegetable, insect, avians, fish, animals, and humans. Humans are largely suffer from memory loss or amnesia induced by the fallen ones through their blank slate technologies. We humans easily forget our connections, our feelings, thoughts, words, and actions, and submit to the inevitability of life and death. So we largely become powerless and incapacitated. This is all by design by the fallen ones, and one of our duties will begin to remember who we are. Infinite soul beings on a soul evolutionary journey with the power to remember. I guess it is not fair really to hang all the ills of this on this planet on the fallen ones. A lot of detail is being skipped over that we don't know about. You see, Earth in its current state is a part of a much larger and older paradigm. In fact, it goes back 550 million years ago. That's right, more than 500 million years ago. It is difficult for us to wrap our minds around this, but I've been given clearance to release it. Our soul families are here to assist us through our own soul evolutionary journey. They increase the potential, probability, and possibility for their own ascension and our energetic soul connection to them. The universe is a self-supportive system. Each part is meant to support the whole. There is no separation from the whole. Just because someone doesn't look like you, or act like you, or agree with you, doesn't make them any lesser or greater than you. It is best we learn how it works. In all of our lifetimes here, we've had many relationships with elemental, mineral, insect, vegetable, avian, fish, and animal souls without knowing it. We have been induced and conformed into separation consciousness here. Well, this concludes the course, Mechanics of Ascension. Thank you for watching. And herewith follows a short personal video message from me. Much love and respect. Hi, and I hope you've enjoyed the course Mechanics of Ascension. And Nikola Tesla once said that if you want to understand the universe, you have to understand energy, frequency, and vibration. And that's what I'm presenting. I'm presenting how energy works in the universe, how waves of sound and light are energy, they carry information. And understanding the unseen world will help you so much to understand the seen world and how it works. I've heard many different versions of Ascension over my lifetime, and they don't always seem plausible to me. I think it would be physically impossible for people to shoot off into the sky and through the Kuiper Belt and go to a place called heaven, somewhere in the far distant ether. And, the laws of physics just don't support that kind of thinking. Whereas if you understand energy, frequency, and vibration, you can understand how energy creates reality, how energy creates matter, how we experience our reality on a wave, and that wave creates the perception of time, and that we can have different timeline experiences depending on the frequency of the energy we've attached ourselves to. In my view, because I understand, and I hope you do too, how the ascension cycles work, it is likely that in our lifetime that we will actually experience an ascension. And I hope this course will help you to understand better how it works. So much love and respect to you, and I do so much appreciate your learning and willingness to learn, and much blessings, love and respect to you all. Bye. Respect to you all.